Strategic thinking is so important because it can make all the difference. To understand it better, let's go back to its roots. The term strategy was coined by the ancient Greek, who had to defend their kingdoms against invaders. A paragon strategist of those times is Alexander the Great. Even today, we can learn a lot from him. At Issus, he took his army into the decisive battle with the might of the Persian army and their great king Darius. The odds were against him, but Alexander won because of superior strategy. First, he was able to choose the timing, and he forced the battleground upon his opponent, so that Darius could not profit from the advantages of his army. He also read the strategy of Darius and countered it with a bold attack on his strong center, where Darius himself commanded his army. That fierce charge was highly risky and could have resulted in mere suicide. But three factors made all the difference. First, Alexander knew how to motivate his men. A defeat would have left their homeland open to the Persian conquerors, whereas the victory would open up the Asian continent. That was an utterly inspiring vision. Second, Alexander led the charge himself and demonstrated extreme bravery. So he served as a role model to his men. Third, strategy only counts when executed. As a fighter, Alexander was a league by himself, so that Darius had to flee from him. In consequence, his army lost morale and was worn down. You might think, well, we are in business and not in war. To that, the Romans would have said, if you want peace, prepare for war. Today, the world has become VUCA. VUCA means politics and markets have become more volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous than ever. That implies that not only top management has to care about strategy and planning, but every intelligent mind in the company. Only then you and your organization will be able to detect the weak signals and the soft trends that will shape the future. Only that way you can stay innovative and ahead of the competition. In so far, old school 3 to 5 year strategic planning has become worn out. Do you know what a dodo is? It is a bird that lived on Madagascar and that has been extinct for more than 100 years. Why? Because it got so fat it couldn't fly anymore. On the island, it was protected from competitors until the first dogs arrived. End of story. Now, I'll give you a second to think of some corporate dodos. One of the most famous or infamous certainly is Kodak. Kodak thought taking pictures is about films. Digital cameras were no threat. The rest is history. Well, not so much. Do you know which company developed the first digital camera for consumers? Right, Kodak. Interesting, huh? And that was only at the beginning of digitalization. Today, you have to be even more alert, probably more than ever, because threats might and will not only come from your mere competitors, but from digital substitutes. Just take a second and think about all the products and services that got or will get replaced by the smartphone. Cameras, music players, torchlights, scanners, etc. Today's strategies and, in consequence, organizations have to be agile, being fast and flexible to adapt to the demands of the market. Take Google. They took off as a search engine, and look at the number of fields that they are in today and how often they already have adapted their business model. To be clear, by all means, Agility and business model innovation should not lead to randomness. Strategic thinking begins with having a strong, appealing vision in mind. And that blazes the trail. And here, good old Henry Ford gives a perfect example. His vision was building a reliable car, affordable for every hard-working man. And his iron will, as well as his inventive mind, shaped a whole industry. To boil it down, with the right strategy, there will be no competitors, only laggards. Thank God there are no naturally born strategists. We can learn strategic thinking. Nevertheless, there are certain qualities, or better, parts of a mindset that foster strategic thinking. In the Crestcom model, these are curiosity, flexibility, openness, diverse thinking, and goal orientation. Curiosity is demonstrated by your genuine interest in what's going on in your business unit, organization, industry, and business environment in the broadest sense. Flexibility is evident when you can adapt approaches and shift ideas when a changing situation suggests the need to do so. Another way of putting it is you get creative rather than reactive. Openness is welcoming new ideas from managers, peers, direct reports, and even customers. And you accept criticism without reacting defensively. Diverse thinking is actively broadening your knowledge and experience from a wealth of diverse sources to discover connections and patterns across seemingly unrelated fields of knowledge. Goal orientation means that you have an inspiring vision that gives you focus and direction. The goal orientation brings direction in turbulent times and is essential in the process of gathering information. It helps you to connect the dots. Let me provide you with a simple but effective framework for accumulating and analyzing information. We first analyze the market and competition. It starts by analyzing the rivalry of the existing competitors, then the threat of new competitors and substitutes, then the potential influence of suppliers, and last but not least, of the customers. Thereby, we get a pretty good oversight of the market and we can make an educated guess how they will develop. Second, we turn to the internal perspective, assessing the strengths and weaknesses of the organization. Here is a very simple and practical instrument. With it, you have to ask the following questions. What is your purpose? Does every member of your organization know and implement it? Is it in line with our values? Can you maintain or strengthen your strategic advantage? Are your procedures as effective and efficient as possible? How flexible and productive is your organization? Do your employees have the core competencies to lead your company into the future? How qualified, motivated, and engaged is your staff? How do they cooperate? What is their age structure? How diverse are they? How active, open, transparent, and trustful is your communication? Up to now, you've got loads of data, but it has to be brought all together. That's important. An ideal tool to get the right overview and important insights is the SWOT analysis. That means you look at your strengths and weaknesses from the internal perspective, and you add the opportunities and threats from the external perspectives. That way you get 4 situations and you can immediately formulate corresponding micro-strategies. In the first field, where strengths meet opportunities, you invest. In the second, where strengths meet threats, you hold your ground, but you minimize your risk. In the third, weaknesses face opportunities. You may want to catch up. And in the last, where weaknesses come upon threats, you try to withdraw as fast as possible. So, what should you do with it now? Strategic thinking is about setting the right priority. In that case, we can learn from surgeons in the emergency room. There, taking the right decision is a matter of life and death. Accordingly, they first care about survival. Only when that is ensured, they move to the next important injury. So, now it's your turn. What is the most important problem you face? Or the greatest opportunity you have? Focus on that. Apply the 5 qualities of strategic thinking and come up with a solution. All right, let's go.